If you're new here, we don't do drive-by. We don't do drive-by engagement. So what that means is clicking on the message and you're just going and you're reacting with an emoji. That's not very heartfelt. That's not the way to build those connections with people. And one thing I put on my IPA list every single day in all capital letters, it says make a friend. And so that is my goal with my engagements. That's the result that I want at the end of every single day with the actions that I put in place for my business, is that I want to make a friend, whether it be business related, product related, or just life and somebody I can relate to. That's one of my big goals for the day. So I always say make a friend. And so the only way to make a friend is to be a friend and not just send out emojis, to actually ask them about what they've got going on in their life, right? Like if it's something like this recipe, do you want the recipe? If it's their kids and you have kids too, maybe you start the conversation of how old are your kids? My kids are such and such age, or, you know, something that you can relate to. And so if I don't have anything to say, I just keep swiping and I go to the next person. Thank you for reminding me to record. Let me make sure nobody's in the waiting room. I think we're good. I also, if I see a, on Instagram specifically, if I see a filter that somebody has used on their stories and I'm like, oh, it's super cute, maybe it's glittery or something, then if you click, this makes me want to get a pedicure, but if you click at the top where it says right underneath their Instagram handle, it'll say whatever filter they used on their stories, and you can save that filter so that when you go back to your stories, you can use that filter for your stuff. So that's a great way to kind of like in the back of your mind, keep it there for your own content, in seeing what filters are out there, what jumps out to your eye, seeing, even if it's somebody who's in a different business, if they are laying out their products a certain way, I'm like, oh, that's cute, or I like the way that they arranged that for St. Patrick's Day, then maybe you get little sparks of ideas for what to do for your stuff too. And if you, I'm just gonna put this out there, just gonna put this out there. If you ever do, I'm not trying to call this girl out, but if you ever do face-to-face on your stories and you're just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, please do closed captioning. Please take the extra 2 or 3 minutes to do closed captioning, because see, there goes our timer. A lot of people who watch stories throughout the day, they work just like us, right? They have busy lives. They've got kids screaming in the background and they don't always turn on their volumes on their phone. So if you are doing face-to-face on your stories, I think it's super important to do closed captioning, meaning put a little blip of like the highlight of what you're saying. You don't have to do like word for word, but like the highlight of what you're saying so that it catches their attention. So if you're talking about rest or something and how it helps you sleep at night, that will catch their eye, even if they don't have their volume on and they're like, oh, hold up, this girl's sleeping better because she's taking this product. Does that make sense? So always take that extra time. I know it can be a little bit daunting to like pause because it only gives you like those 4 slides, and then you got to do your closed captioning and then you can finish recording your story. But it definitely helps, because when I don't see closed captioning on there, I'm just like, this person don't care. This person don't care about me. But anyways, okay, so that's 5 minutes on engagement on stories on Instagram. I want to go to, let's just do 4 minutes just to be fun so that we know how to change our timers. Okay, 4 minutes, set your timer again. We're going to go back to Instagram. I want you to click on your profile and you are going to click following the people who you are following. And we're going to go to this. Oh, Lord, help us. Y'all can't even see it, can you? Does everybody know where to sort by default? Those little up and down arrows, we're going to sort by latest. These are the people that you just started following or just started following you. So that's 5 minutes. I'm tempted to stay in stories. That's why I keep not completing. Yes. So you can find yourself getting sucked into the social media like vortex. Okay. And it goes by really quickly. And what I used to realize is that whenever I would go to Instagram first, and then by the time had to get ready and go to work, it's like I had no time to do Facebook. And so I just like forgot Facebook and was just like, oh well, like it didn't happen. And then I realized my stories were much better, like my views were much better on Instagram, my engagements were better on Instagram, however many people were viewing my content was better on Instagram. I was like, ah, Facebook, rude. And then I realized, hey, like you're not actually paying attention to your Facebook, so they're not going to be paying attention to you. So definitely time blocking. So go to your most latest followed, and then just to be kind of real quick about it, you can do your 3-2-1s. I feel like 3-2-1s, like it takes my brain a minute to think about that, so I like to do that not on a work with me. But to do it for tonight, what we're going to do is when you go to your latest followed, I want you to start clicking on people that have the circle highlighted around their name. That means they have an active story. And so just click on their stories, and what you're going to do is you're going to engage on their stories. And these are people that you just recently started following, or they started following you. If you have nothing to say, it's fine. Okay. What you're going to do is you're just going to keep going down the list. If you find somebody that you're just like, oh, I don't vibe with this person, just unfollow them. Okay. It's not the end of the world. Feel free to put this work with me on your stories. I know we've talked about that a lot lately, is the community. And I will just say, like, nothing beats this community. I've never felt more supported and more loved by a work family, right, than I do here. I've been under some pretty shitty leadership. So being here, it's like I get pulled here because of the community, and because I feel valued and I feel loved and I feel appreciated, and I am growing as a person and my business is growing too. And so it's just like, if you can provide that to another woman on the other side of the screen, that like maybe she's struggling in her current business, you have no idea. Maybe she's being barked at by her leadership, and you posting every single week when you hop on a work with me how you love your team and how you feel supported and you feel loved, that might be the girl that reaches out to you, right? Because you keep posting about the community. It's not always about the $800 in the first 2 weeks, right? Some people join not for the money. Some people join for the friends, especially right now. Like, life is hard. All right, there's our 4-minute timer. So you get kind of a gist. You set those whatever you want them to be, but you get the gist of setting a timer, and you start to realize as you get into it more and more and more, and you start to do timers more, you start to realize how much you actually can accomplish in 5 minutes. It's a little bit difficult when you got somebody talking to you, but when you can sit down and say, okay, 5 minutes, Instagram stories, go. And then I'm going to go color with my kiddos, right? And one thing that I just finished reading, was it last month or January? I don't remember. I just finished reading Atomic Habits, and they talk about habit stacking. I think Karen is reading this right now. But they talk about habit stacking, meaning if there's something that like it's just hard for you to do, put it underneath something that you like to do. So for example, I don't recommend using food. So don't say like, I'm going to go get a snack whenever I do my IBAs, but like maybe your kids want to color with you, right? And maybe you need to put up a post, and you're like, okay, as soon as I put up a post, I'm gonna go color with my kiddos. That's habit stacking. That is doing the one thing that's kind of like a little bit thorn in your side that maybe you're just like in fear of doing, and then the one thing that you really, really want to do, stack that on top and say, when I do this, I'm gonna do this. So that's helpful for me. So Instagram, removing from Instagram, what I typically do, I wanted to kind of dive into this a little bit tonight, more so on Facebook. But when I go to the people that I'm following on Instagram and I go least interacted with, I used to interact with these people, but then I realized like least interacted, if you actually go and you click on their profiles, some of these people haven't posted since like July of last year. So I just wasted my time doing a 3-2-1 on them. Right. And so least interacted with, I actually like to click on their profile. And the first thing I look at is when did she post? Okay. This one's 11 hours ago. So I'm good to do like a 3-2-1, or I'm just looking at her profile. It's like all like wardrobe. Like I'm probably just going to unfollow her. Like I'm not, y'all seen this red hoodie for like 3 years now. So let's not talk about that. But I find that cleaning up your Instagram can be most easily done in this least interacted section. Other people might tell you other things. I mean, that's one of the great things about the leadership that we have here on this team is you'll learn lots of different things. You take what you want, you leave what you don't, right? And so that's just kind of what works for me. So I want to talk about that a little bit, but that you can do on your own time as far as like cleaning up on Instagram. I used to try to get it all done in the same day. I used to try to do all my engagements, all my 3-2-1s, all my adding to my network and all of everything and removing from my network every single day. And I found myself really overwhelmed and really burnt out to the point where it felt really daunting just to kind of run my business every day. And especially with working full time, because I would get to the end of the day and I'd say, God, I didn't really do anything. But really, I was just putting too much on my platter. When I actually got really focused and I started doing focused IPAs. Lindsay talks about this a lot in what's your focus for the day? My focus for the day today was engagement. Tomorrow, it might be adding to my network. That's where I kind of planned it out on those, the planning Zooms on Sundays with Christina is I write down what's my focus for my IPAs for that day, like an IPA focus. I write down what my posts, like what my idea for my post is going to be, what I kind of want my stories to vibe with, and then what's my IPA focus so that I know today I'm focusing on engagement. Tomorrow I'm focusing on adding to my network. Then the next day I'm doing this or I'm doing that. On Fridays, I don't know, because I don't go anywhere. Friday nights, I delete people. And it's like, I'm all about it. On Friday nights, I delete people from Instagram. I delete people from Facebook. And I just feel better about myself going to sleep on Friday night because I'm like, oh, I just like detoxed. But anyway, so I want to kind of go into that a little bit with you guys on Facebook real quick. And so the same thing, because we've already done 20 minutes here, or I've been talking for 20 minutes. So let's go back into your timer. Let's just leave it at 4 minutes. I think that's a safe bet. 4 minutes, because I don't want to spend all day, all night. Set your timer for 4 minutes. We're going to do engagement on stories on Facebook. And where I like to go for that personally is to my Messenger. And so when you go to Messenger, I don't know how to get y'all to see that better. When you go to Messenger at the bottom, you'll see chats and then you'll see people. If you click people, it's going to open up these stories. And so I like to go through and I engage on stories this way. You can also do it from your Facebook app, from your home screen, and you can scroll all the way just like we just did for Instagram. But I like to just change it up a little bit. So for Facebook, I go into Messenger, I click people, and I go through stories that way. So 4 minutes, go boo. That book is amazing. That book was good. I read that book because I struggle with emotionally eating. And I knew it was a bad habit that I needed to break. And I wanted to read something on how to strengthen my habits and strengthen my mind around my habits. And just like anything, with a little bit of discipline, you'll get there. I think the hardest part for us is we don't want to call ourselves out on our own BS. I used to think I was running my business. Y'all, this is coming from the girl who thought she was doing her IPAs and didn't even have an IPA list. So if you are on this screen tonight and you do not have an IPA list, you do not have it written down, or you do not have it in your notes app on your phone, you do not have something that you can go and check off a bubble to say that you did it, make one tonight for tomorrow. I use my notes app in my phone so that I can keep myself accountable. And every night, at the end of the night, I send this to my team, because this is what I've done for the day. And so as you're engaging on your stories on Facebook, I put at the top of my list in the morning is gratitude and I ams. Self-development is one. Products on my stories, face-to-face on my stories. I used to actually not do that every single day, so I try to make that a priority. No matter what it's about, if it's about business, products, or just life, okay? Birthdays on Facebook, responding to messages or polls, post, and then I write what I kind of wanted to post about. Adding to my network, I at least add to my network a little bit every day. And then for me, my focus for the day was engagement. So I had to crack down on myself, because I was the one to say, I get up early. I get up at like 4:44, but I crack out some IPAs in the morning and I do a round of engagement. And then by the end of the night, maybe I've worked 12 hours. I tucked my kiddos into bed. I'm exhausted. And I put up a post and, the day kind of gets away from me a little bit. I would just kind of call it a day. And I would say, okay, well, I did engagement this morning, but I know that wasn't enough, but I told myself that was enough, right? And so I made it a point to start implementing 3 blocks of time for my IPAs every day. And so in the morning, and it can be something as small as 5 minutes. In the morning, I do 7 minutes. Don't ask me why 7, I have no idea. But in the morning, 7 minutes on both platforms. There goes your timer. 3, 2, 1 new followers on both platforms. The reason why I do 3, 2, 1s at that time, my whole house is asleep. It's quiet. I can think. And 3, 2, 1s for me just take a little bit more brain power. I don't know. And then at lunch, I put when I'm sitting down for lunch. So I have a 30-minute lunch break at work. Sometimes you have to just forego the break room and pack a shake, pack something light that you can finger foods, and forget the negativity in the break room. Go out and sit in the trunk of your car, go out for a walk or whatever if you can. And I just have like peace to myself. So maybe I'm listening to a podcast, maybe I am doing engagements, but I put for my lunch break 5 minutes in stories on both platforms. So that's easy for me to crack out in a 30-minute lunch break, that I can do 5-minute stories on Instagram, 5 minutes stories on Facebook. And then I feel like I've at least gotten like a midday, like little bit IPA done. And then in the evening is where I'll do 10 minutes on each platform of being a friend, basically. So I'm going to my posts, I'm going to my stories, and I'm looking at who has liked, commented, who's watching my stories. I tell you guys all the time, like, you have to be a friend to have a friend. Pay attention to the people that are watching you and go back. And this is where at the end of the night, I'll take 10 minutes on Instagram, 10 minutes on Facebook, and I love all my people, right? And I comment and I like on their stuff. I go through their stories, and that's what I like to do in the evening. Okay. So the last thing I wanted to go through, I wanted to teach you something. This might be, y'all might know this, but I'm just going to say it anyways, in case there's one person on the Zoom that doesn't know this. But I just learned yesterday on Facebook, if you go to that section where, like, if you're on your Facebook on your phone, you're on your news feed, you click Jordan calls it a hamburger, the 3 lines on the bottom right. Okay. This is where you go to your most recent tab. But yesterday I clicked on friends. This is where you'll see your friend requests, and you'll see like your people you may know. Okay, at the top, you're going to see 2 little bubbles. One says suggestions, one says all friends. Go to all friends, and you can sort, just like Instagram, to your newest friends. Did you guys know that? Yeah. Okay, some people did it. I didn't until yesterday. But this is where you can do some engagement with just like your new peeps. So anyways, that's that. The last thing I want to show you before we hop off here, I know it's been like a down and dirty kind of IPA thing, but do you raise your hand like on the camera or in the chat if you feel like you lose people in Messenger? Like you're like, I was talking to this girl, but God, I can't remember, like, what was her name? I'm like, you're trying to find her. Okay. I used to do that until I watched M's organization video. And if you've never seen that organization video, you type that in the team page. That's part of your IPAs tomorrow. You write that down on your list, type organization on the team page, and she goes through how she keeps track of people basically. So if I talk to somebody about the products or I talk to somebody about the business, I write them in my planner on today and I say, I don't know, Susan, sculpt. And then I'll write a little in parentheses, I'll write FB if I found her on Facebook. That way I know how to catch up with her later. I'll write her first and her last name, or if it's somebody from Instagram, I'll write her first name and then I'll write her Instagram handle and I'll put IG next to it so I can go back and find her if I need to. So that's number one. You got to keep track of your people that way. You cannot expect to be able to find them in Messenger, but I want to show you how to clean up Messenger because this is my favorite on Friday nights. Okay. So I'm sorry that it's not Friday nights, Tuesday night, but who says happy birthday to people in Messenger? Yeah. Okay. Me too. I always say happy birthday in Messenger. I do not post on their timeline because I feel like it just gets lost in the other 67 people who are saying happy birthday on their timeline. There are probably other people who are saying happy birthday in their Messenger too, but I always leave mine with a question. I say happy birthday. I put their name in there. I'm like, I hope you have a great day, babe. What are your plans to celebrate? And I leave them with a question. That way it keeps the conversation going. Okay. Now, where that comes into play is I can figure out who wants to talk to me, who don't want to talk to me. Okay. So I'm going to scroll in my Messenger right now. I'm going to scroll all the way down. Let's go to February because let's just be honest. This shit goes all the way. I'm going all the way to February. I usually give people like a 2-week grace period because like I said, life is hard right now. Okay. I'll give them a 2-week grace period, but anybody in February, if I said happy birthday to them in February, I look because you can see on here, you can't see it very well, but you can see on here where it says happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, where I was saying happy birthday to people in February. And I open it up to Messenger. She looked at it. She didn't say anything. That girl didn't want to talk to me. I'm sorry. But I go to her profile and I unfriend. Because if you saw me say happy birthday to you and I asked you like honestly with a good heart what you're doing for your birthday, and you didn't say like thanks, babe, at minimum, you don't want to talk to me, right? And you sure as hell don't want to build a business with me. My feelings aren't hurt. You helped me make that decision that you're just not my people. Okay. Don't get butthurt about it. Okay. The next girl, look at this one. Never looked at it. What that tells me, don't get butthurt. Okay. What that tells me is she's probably not active on social media like I thought she was. And we are building a business on social media, right? So I unfriend. Okay. I've given her 2 weeks. Okay. I've given her 2 weeks. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh. I'm sorry. But not everybody can be a friend. And not everybody's going to want to build a business with us, right? So that's what I do. If people respond back to me and they're like, oh, thanks, like I'm doing this or I'm doing that, and I say welcome or whatever, I usually, if that's as far as the conversation goes, I usually just kind of delete the message. I don't remove them as a friend, but I will kind of delete the message to kind of clean up my Messenger. So I hope that helps because I always felt like Facebook, like I never understood, like, how do I know like who's normal, like who's even on Facebook anymore? Like Facebook is always, I don't know. That sounds bad, but Facebook is not my jam right now. The other thing you can do if you're on a desktop and you go to your Facebook profile and you click on your friends, like where it says friends, and you click it, it's going to populate all your friends, and you'll have this scroll bar where you can scroll all the way down to the bottom. And it's basically like people who, it's kind of like the stories on Instagram, right? You go all the way to the back to people that you haven't really talked to in a while. Facebook, when you open up your friends on a desktop, is kind of the same way. So what you'll realize if you ever end up doing this, maybe it's a Friday night and you think of Amber and you're like, I'm gonna delete some people. You go to your desktop and you scroll all the way down on your Facebook friends. You're gonna start to see people who don't have a Facebook profile picture. You're gonna start to see people who have like Snapchat. You're gonna start to see people who just like don't vibe with you anymore, and you can clearly see them, right? And so that might be another way that you want to start removing from your friends list for Facebook too. So I hope this was helpful. Do you guys want to hop off, or do you guys want to keep going a little bit more? Keep going. So okay. All right. So one thing that we did not do is let's go to our most recent on Facebook. Okay. So the way I get there is I go to my homepage, squish the little hamburger thing, the 3 lines on the right, and then click friends, all friends, sort. Newest friends first. Okay. Ow. And so when you go there and you click on the first person, the first thing that's going to stand out to you on their profile is if they have a ring. If they have a ring, it means they have an active story. Okay. That's a good person to just go click their little ring and you go look at their stories for the day. If they don't have an active ring, the next thing I look for, because you can, if they don't have an active ring, this is what it's going to look like, right? And you can click on it and you're going to see their profile picture. There's nothing wrong with liking their profile picture. I can see that she put the profile picture up on March 4th. Okay. So it's fairly recent. It's not 2012. Okay. And then the next thing I look for is when's the last time she posted. And if it's been a hot minute since she posted, I'm probably not going to waste my time doing 3-2-1 interactions with her, because if you want to build a business on social media, you got to be on social media. Okay. I'm sorry if that sounded harsh, but if you haven't posted in a week, it doesn't mean that much.
Apologizing. Stop apologizing.
Stop apologizing. I know.
No, it's not harsh. It's true.
Yeah. I've always been an apologizer. If you guys know anything about the Enneagram.
Me too. That's why I recognize it.
Yes, I'm an Enneagram 2. If you don't know your Enneagram, it's very insightful. It's kind of like a personality test. A personality test kind of tells you the way the world sees you. And the Enneagram tells you kind of how you see the world and why you tick the way that you tick.
I've tried to figure mine out and I get confused. So maybe that tells me something about a number. I don't know.
So you can have 2 like strong types. Whenever if you take the test, you can message me personally and you can show me what your results are, but you can have 2 different strong types. And don't ask me like I don't know a lot about the wings and stuff like that right now, but I do know that for me, it showed me a lot about me, because not even just in business, but just in life in general. The Enneagram 2, well, I'll just start by saying I'm a Libra. And the Libras on the zodiac scale, like we're always weighing out our options, and we always want to know all of our options before we make a decision, and we make a decision with our heart versus our mind first. And the Enneagram, what it taught me about myself is that my strongest one is the Enneagram 2, which is the helper, which makes sense because I'm a nurse and I like to help people. But the helper is the one that will always do for others before she does for herself. We kind of all do that as moms anyways, but like for me it's like really strong. Like I don't even like to get gifts, but I will give you gifts out the wazoo. And I will always like even for example, when I'm taking care of my patients in the hospital, I'll go out to update their family members and stuff like that. I'm like, did you eat today? Like I take it a step further. Like I don't need to be asking if they ate today. I'm like, honey, did you eat? It's been a long day, right? Like I will always go way beyond at sometimes at my own expense, because at the end of the day my cup is like super empty, right? Because I feel like I've just given and given and given and given and given, and my cup is dry, right? And then Enneagram 2s also like they avoid conflict at all costs, which has shown up in my life like crazy. If I look back at my life, I'm like, oh my God, yes, I didn't want to have that conversation. And this is why that went crazy. And I didn't have the guts to talk to this person that way. And I got in that predicament because I was too scared to stand up for myself. And I was too scared to say no because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And like, right. Like, for example, my boss, we had to take call, and she came to me with a schedule and she's like, here, I need you to sign up for call. Mind me, I'm married to a firefighter and he works 24-hour shifts. I don't have like, I can't just pick up call on any day because he's like literally gone. So I don't have anybody watch my kids. Like I can tell you what days I can do. And sorry for your luck. But I wasn't always that person to say sorry for your luck. She came to me. It was even last year. She came to me. She was like, I need you to sign up for a call shift. This is what's available. This is what's left. And I'm like, okay, I can do that day. And she's like, no, I need you to like be the lead. So I need you to pick like this day or this day. And I'm like, my husband, I'm looking at my schedule. My husband works 24 hours and he's gone this day and this day. That's not going to work. And she's like, well, we can probably find somebody to like switch with you. Long story short, I picked a day that didn't work for me because I was afraid of that conflict with her because she was my boss and I didn't want, like, that was really uncomfortable for me. Like I was sweating and I felt pushed into a corner and I didn't have the guts to stand up for myself in that moment, even though it was something I knew I literally can't do. It's not that I didn't want to do it. It's that I couldn't do it. Right? Do you see what I'm saying? But learning about yourself in these ways will help you as you're growing your team. It will help you when you have negativity in your chats and you feel like you need to, right? What do they call it? Like defeat the monster as it's a baby, right? When you start to grow your team and you have to have those hard conversations with people, right? Where maybe they've been here for a week and they're like, I got my curiosity post up and then like this just isn't working, right? And you're like, boom, I've been messaging you and I told you when you're ready for the VIP period and you're ready for me to run you through it, I'm here. But you haven't talked to me in a week, right? Versus like, it's okay, it's fine, right? That was always me. But that will bite you in the ass if you constantly run your life that way. And you'll never get to where you want to be because you weren't bold enough to be the person that you needed to be able to handle it, right? And it just kind of like, it makes you a stronger person, it makes you a stronger mama, it makes you a stronger leader. And I'll just leave it at this because I know it's been a long night, but I listened to Craig Groeschel.
Maturity.com. I'm trying to find the link.
Woody?
I didn't know.
Let me see. But I listened to Craig Groeschel. He's with Life Church, but he has a leadership podcast. Okay. I know you guys probably all listen to Jessie Lee. She's amazing. But what I tell my team is, as much as it's important to do self-development every single day, it's just as important to do leadership development, whether you have a promoter under you, a team under you, whether it's just yourself. You need to be doing leadership development every single day too. And so I listen to Craig Groeschel. I have John Maxwell is great. Anything about John Maxwell is great. Let's see, which one did I take? Yes, I took the Truity one. It's like 100 questions, so you need to be prepared for it. But it'll email you your results, and it'll kind of break down all the types for you. I even had my husband take it. But anyways, I will leave you at the end of the night tonight by saying something that Craig Groeschel says all the time. He says everyone wins when the leader gets better, right? So you have to step into that role, and you have to learn sometimes that we have to call ourselves out. And I had a really slow growing season in this business. I'm a 4K leader. I'm going for 12K this month. But it took me 17 months. It's like 17 or 18 months to go 4K. For my first 16 months in this business, I signed 0 promoters. And I thought that I was running my business. I had no IPA list. I put up a Pinterest quote thinking it was going to change somebody's life. I think I put my capsules on my stories, and that's it. Literally just the capsules, maybe the shake. And I didn't talk about anything else that was going on in my life. I didn't talk about anything in my stories, never went face to face on my stories. I did live videos and stuff like that, but it was always just like about the products and if you want to buy it, right? I had a lot of growing to do. And that's why it took me so long. And I'm very transparent with my team of why it took me so long so that I can help somebody not take that long. And a lot of that for me was calling myself out and saying, Amber, you say you're running your business, but when it came to me actually creating an IPA list and me writing down what I'm actually doing, I think it was like 3 things that I was doing for my business every day. And so I was peeing in the wind, basically. And then I was angry. And every single time somebody ranked up or somebody earned a vacation or somebody was posting about their paycheck, you guys, I went months without paychecks. I went months without free product credit. I went 16 months by myself trying to figure this out with no promoters, right? And I don't know how many people would have stuck that out, right? But I had to call myself out. And then I've had some come to Jesus moments with myself in these last 3 years. That's not the only one. I'm not saying that like everything changed when I wrote down an IPA list, but I had to get honest with myself about my leadership, about how I was being there for my team or not being there for my team, how I was scared to hold my own Zooms, right? Somebody on my team, she's not even on my team anymore, but she came to me one day. She was like, how cool would it be if we had our own Zooms? I'm like, oh, hold up. What? Not me. And I stepped into it anyways. And I created my own chat. And I knew that I had to call myself out, even though I didn't feel like I was a leader. I had to call myself out. And then like for 2020, I had to really get my shit together and say, Amber, like you got to get disciplined, right? You got to get disciplined with your business and working full time. And that's where I had to really crack down on things like setting a timer and learning about organization and learning about how to work smarter, not harder, right? I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any last minute questions, let me know.
Thank you so much. It was helpful in a lot of ways.
Oh, good. Grow that leadership skin. Yes, absolutely, Ashley. Absolutely. Glad there's more than one of us who didn't go 4K fast. Yes. You know, I sat in that for the longest time. And there's days now where I'm like, I think to myself, like, if somebody knew it took me 3 years to, or it took me 17, 18 months to go 4K, like, you know, like your inner little bitch comes out a little bit and you're like, nobody's going to join you if they knew it took you 17 months, because then they're going to think it's going to take them 17 months. But
you did it so that they don't have to.
Yes. And that's just a big fat lie that you're telling yourself. And you're basically like, you've already held that girl back by saying that about yourself. And just because your road was that windy doesn't mean that hers is going to be, right? I had a girl come in and she went 4K in 30 days, right? That meant nothing on my leadership, right? That didn't mean that just because it took me 17 months to go 4K didn't mean that I was not capable of leading a team. It didn't mean that because I never hit my VIPs that I could never help somebody hit their VIPs, right? And a lot of the times we attach our self-worth to the things, to our circumstances, really. To, well, I'm working full time and I struggle sometimes daily to fit this business in too. So how am I going to teach somebody else to do that, right? Like, don't speak that over your business. And don't, one thing M told me one day, you know, I was like, what advice would you have on somebody who's had a slow growing season? And she said, don't ever speak that on your business. She was like, your business is what you think your business is. And just because you think that your growing season was slow doesn't mean that the next person that joins you is going to have a slow growing season. Right?
I always try to remember that my feelings are not facts.
Yes.
You know, just because I feel it, and I feel things very deeply, but just because I feel it doesn't mean that it's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
It may even be a lie.
Yeah. We're good at lying to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We're really good at that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Lenz's boot camp, yes, has helped. We did that with our team and it helped a lot. Even if it's just like a refresher, it's good. Natalie says, I went 4K my first month almost 3 years ago, still trucking along. But you know what? This whole time, what has that done for you, right? That has made you stronger. You've taught yourself perseverance. You've taught yourself that you could commit to something and stick to it, right? It's kind of like the alarm clock in the morning. You kept that promise to yourself. You kept that promise of that promoter button to yourself. And that's one of the biggest, like, one of the worst things you can do in life is give up on something that you really, really wanted. And we are the first people to try to sabotage that for ourselves when, like, a lot of the times we don't feel qualified or we don't feel like we're enough or we don't feel like we're ready. And I catch myself doing this sometimes too. And I'll talk to some of my friends. I have a lot of customers that I work, or a lot of girls that I work with are my customers, and they watch me and they watch my live videos and they don't want to promote, and that's fine. They just like the products, but they watch me. And for the longest time, I didn't like talking about the fact that I don't like being a nurse, because I was worried about what the people at work were going to think. I was worried, like, what if they show this to my boss? Like I never bad talk it, and I never show my badge, and I never say where I work or anything like that. I just share my truth. I just share my story. And I thought for the longest time, like, I like hid in this like turtle shell of like, God, I hope they don't see this live video, or God, like, I was just so nervous about talking about that part of my story. But you know what? Like, I had a girl come to me and I shared a really vulnerable story about being under some really crappy management and leadership before, and how basically I was told, like, that's just the way it is. Sorry, Toots. That's just the way it is what I was told by our chief nursing officer when I sat down and told her I wanted a specific job so that I could have more time freedom for my family. And she said, sorry, sometimes that's just the way it is. And I got on live video and I shared that story. I never called names. I never said what hospital it was or anything, but like, I was so sweaty. And I still to this day get nervous about talking about the fact that I don't like being a nurse, because I've been burnt out since year one. And a lot of people right now, especially in the middle of a pandemic, they're like, you're a hero. Like, this, you're called to serve. If I hear somebody say you're called to serve one more time, I'm going to punch them. But I have been burnt out since year one. And it's just part of my story that when I found this and I found that this can give me everything that I've ever wanted, I just have to create it myself. talking about that has always been really uncomfortable. But a couple weeks ago, one of my customers, she's one of my new customers, she came up to me in private and she said, I watched your video the other night. And I immediately went to like, okay, like, and right. And she was like, and it was really inspiring. She said a lot of people don't talk about the fact that nurses are burnt out and that we don't feel supported and we don't feel like all these things, right? And she said, I'm really proud of you for doing that video. And I felt every word of it. And I was just like, here I was, all up in my feels about how I was going to come across and what it was going to sound like and what other people were going to think about it. And it really did touch somebody, right? And I have other people that come up to me and they're like, I just love watching your videos, right? They're just so cute. Whether or not they want to join the business or be my customer or not, they still support me. They still cheer me on. They still believe in what I'm doing. And they're like, you're going to get there, right? So don't let your story hold you back. I heard something on, I think it was from Courtney Glaser, I think, that has stuck with me for a very long time. She said, you will never be more relatable than you are right now. Because as you rank up and as you start to see success and as you get that car bonus and as you start to have bigger paychecks and bigger teams and your team starts winning and you start to portray this image of what success looks like in network marketing, people are going to be a little bit more scared of you and they'll probably be less likely to join you because there's going to be like this wall where they're automatically they're going to be in our shoes right now and they're going to say I'm paycheck to 3 days before paycheck and they're going to be looking at you and they're going to say I don't know if I can do it. Right? Or look at her, like she's just like killing it. Like I don't think I could ever do it. Right? So you will never be more relatable than you are right now. So I hope you always remember your pain. I hope you always use your pain as your purpose and that you're never afraid to share your story. And one thing Jason said on one of our calls one time, he said, your story is the key that unlocks someone else's prison. And as much as you're scared to talk about it, you're scared to talk about the fact that you went through postpartum depression or you have anxiety or you hate your job or you had a shitty relationship and you, right? All these things. My team and I were talking last night about how like we've all been through some shit. And I said, we all have wounds, right? We all have scars. We all have wounds. Some of us have deeper wounds than others. It doesn't make one wound better than the other, but we all bleed red. Okay. And you having the courage to share your story, no matter how uncomfortable that makes you feel, exactly what she needs to hear. Okay. And so at the end of the day, you set yourself up for success. You write down your IPAs. You turn on your timer if you need to, so that at the end of the day, you feel accomplished. Whether you're a busy mama, you're a single mama, you're working full time, you're drowning in debt, you got $5 in your bank account right now, or you're negative in your bank account right now, right? No matter what your circumstances are, you're using this as your vehicle to get you to where you want to go. And if you are letting fear of your story keep you from pursuing this, then you might as well hand over the keys to someone else and say, go drive me off a cliff, right? You might as well hand the keys over, let them figure out the destination, and you're just going to have to live with whatever destination they decide they're driving to. Or you can take the keys, you can say, this is where we're going. I don't know how, I don't know when, but this is where we're going, right? And so at the end of the day, you set yourself up for success, like I said, with doing your IPAs, with showing up for your business, with showing up for your life, right? So that when you lay your head on the pillow at the end of the day, you are proud. It doesn't have to be perfect. but you must be proud of what you do. Okay. I love you guys. We're going to hop off. Wow, that was an hour. I'm so sorry. Sorry.
I'm an Enneagram too.
You are.
Yes.
Match.
I guess we just became best friends.
Besties for the resty.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right, guys. You're welcome.
Bye.
I like my nature wants to say I'm sorry that took so long, but like you're here for a reason.
Don't do it.
I know. I love you guys. Bye.